I don't really think nobody fucking with me anyway, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, 24 fucking hundred. I come from that fucking block. I been out that Johnny up and up that cutter. If we cannot get.
Alright, welcome back. We back with another reaction video. Today we're reacting to a crime and psychology video. Let me see what this is. Drunk Karen makes fatal mistake. I mean, the mistake was hopping in the vehicle drunk. Then she probably proceeded to lose control of the vehicle. Well, let's get into it. Let's see what she did. Let's get into specifics, I guess.
Morning hours of January 29th, 2022. 41-year-old Karen Reed and her two friends were driving through a quiet neighborhood known.
Her name's really Karen, huh? Yo, the fact that the internet has basically made the name Karen a double entendre is ridiculous. Go ahead.
As Spring Valley. They were searching for Karen's Boston cop boyfriend, John O'Keefe, who went missing 5 hours earlier. As they made their way down Fairview Road, they made a startling discovery.
911, what's emergency?
Need someone to come immediately to 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Mass.
What's going on?
There's a guy unresponsive in the snow.
In the snow at 34?
He passed out, yes, 34, the Albert resident, yes. I just pulled up and found him.
Is he blue at all?
You've got to get here, okay?
Okay, what's going on? Is he face down?
We just flipped him over.
Okay. And who's that in the background? Is that someone related?
Okay, that's his girlfriend. His name is John O'Keefe.
Is he breathing?
A couple of hours. Is he, Carrie? Is he? I don't know if he's breathing. There are two women trying to do his body heat, and they're hysterical. Is he breathing, you guys? It doesn't seem to be breathing.
Okay. Do they know how to do CPR? Do they want to attempt CPR?
You guys, Carrie, can you guys do CPR? No, I guess he's gone.
All right, we have the fire department and the police department on the way. If everyone's declining CPR, then I'll hang up with you, and if anything changes, you can give us a call back.
Officers were immediately dispatched to 34 Fairview Road.
Wow.
Upon their arrival, they were met by Karen and her two friends. Karen was inconsolable.
Boston police officer that was just found in the snow here, and does have some trauma to his head. Not sure if he's been in a fight or whatever.
John's body was lying on the edge of the property, about 8 feet from the road. He had lacerations all over his right arm, 2 black eyes, a cut above his right eye, and his clothing was saturated with blood and vomit. The first responders quickly put him on a stretcher and loaded.
Oh, first and foremost, rest in peace, John O'Keefe. Secondly, brother, she hit him with the car. Hit her with life.
Him into the ambulance. Where he was laying, they found blood and broken glass from a cocktail glass. According to several people at the scene, as evidence was being collected, Karen was running around asking if John was okay and yelling, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." John was taken to Good Samaritan Hospital 8 miles away, but tragically, it was too late. He was pronounced dead at 7:50 a.m. His cause of death was later deemed as blunt force trauma to the head combined with hypothermia, but the coroner was unable to determine exactly what caused his injuries. Following his death, lead detectives Trooper Michael Proctor and Sergeant Yuri Buchanek went to the hospital to retrieve John's clothing. As they collected the items, they noticed that John's left shoe was missing. The detectives hypothesized that John was hit by a vehicle, and at that moment, his shoe went flying off. To further this theory, the forensics unit found microscopic pieces of plastic embedded in John's shirt. With the evidence pointing towards a hit and run, the detectives seized Karen's SUV at 4:12 p.m.
Brother, it might have been a hit and stay. What the fuck? My bad. A hit and come back. And, run, she came back to the scene of the crime, twin.
The SUV was brought to the Canton Police Department. While examining the vehicle, they found a single strand of John's hair on the rear fender, and male DNA was found on the broken passenger side taillight. After making these discoveries, a special emergency response team returned to 34 Fairview to look for more evidence that John was struck by Karen. They uncovered several pieces of Karen's SUV taillight, John's missing sneaker, and his hat. Using all of this physical evidence, along with Karen and John's phone records, GPS data, surveillance footage, and witness interview statements, the detectives were able to create a timeline of events throughout January that led up to the night John died. During a vacation in Aruba in early January, Karen got upset with John after catching him all over another woman. The woman John was touchy with, Marietta Sullivan, later described this incident during an interview with the detectives.
I heard very loudly his name screamed across the lobby, very angrily, and it made me stop in my tracks. Said, "Hi, nice to meet you." That's when Miss Reed's head snapped up, and she very loudly told me to go walk myself across the lobby. And I said, "Yeah, you too," and walked away.
After returning home from their trip, Karen quickly sought the attention of an ATF agent in John's social circle. His name was Brian Higgins. Karen initiated the following conversation. "You stink. You suck. And you're double trouble. You're hot. Are you serious or messing with me?" "No, I'm serious." Feeling is mutual. Is that bad? By the end of January, it seemed that John and Karen's relationship still hadn't improved. On January 28th, the two were arguing all day about how he thinks Karen spoils his kids. At
That
one
couldn't
point,
have been real
Karen had
dialogue.
enough. Frustrated, she stormed out of John's house. She then left Canton and drove to her own home in Mansfield. Unfortunately, leaving John's house didn't solve anything, and the two continued arguing via text message. "You've really hurt me this time. Not sure what else you want me to do. I said I'm sorry and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. Tell me if you're interested in someone else."
I ain't gonna lie, bro. John trying to be as platonic as humanly possible about this shit. I think platonic. That's not. I don't feel like that's the right word. Nigga, he trying to be as neutral as humanly possible about this shit. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I said I'm sorry. You can't with it. I can understand. You know, you need some alone time. Cool. She talking about some. Shorty. I would just put my phone on D&D. Like, I don't need this.
Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. Things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? Before the argument went any further, Karen flipped on the weather report and noticed that a snowstorm was headed her way. Not wanting to be snowed in alone, Karen squashed the beef with John and decided to head back to Canton to stay.
Baby girl, you lost it. You lost it. You have lost it. I'm about to be trapped alone with your crazy ass. Like, nigga, you would have made the trek up there and would have been stuck out there because I'm not opening the door.
With him and the kids. She left Mansfield at 8:35 p.m., but as she drove, John asked her to meet him at a bar called CF McCarthy's. Surveillance footage shows Karen and John drinking and chatting at McCarthy's for about 2 hours before heading down the street to the Waterfall Bar and Grill. There, they met with John's fellow officer Brian Albert, Karen's secret lover Brian Higgins, Brian Albert's sister-in-law Jen McCabe, and 2 others. After about an hour of chatting, drinking, and roughhousing, they decided to have an after-party at Brian Albert's residence, 34 Fairview Road. So at 12:10 a.m., everybody stumbled out of the bar. Karen's SUV can be seen on a surveillance camera at 12:16 a.m., headed towards their destination. But by 12:27, Karen and John still hadn't made it to the party, so Jen peeked outside. Weirdly, Karen's SUV was parked on the street. So Jen texted John. Here, 5 minutes later, she texted again. "Pull behind me." These texts seemed to go unnoticed, so at 12:40, she followed up one more time, saying, "Hello." Jen then witnessed Karen's SUV drive off at 12:45 a.m. The party wrapped up an hour later, around 1:45 a.m., and everybody went home. Then, about 3 hours later, at 4:53 a.m., Karen called Jen to tell her that John was missing. She then picked up Jen and her friend Carrie to help search for John. Wow. Carrie then placed this call to the Canton Police Department.
Canton Police Department, good.
Hi, my name is Carrie. I'm calling because my friend's boyfriend did not come home last night. We were at Waterfall, and now she is calling me hysterical because she doesn't know where he is. You didn't pick anybody up by the name of John O'Keefe, did you?
John O'Keefe?
Yeah, he's a Boston cop.
No, we didn't lock anybody up or anything like that.
They were out having drinks, and then she left and expected him to come home at some point, and he never did.
She just didn't come home last night. Is this common sometimes?
Exactly.
Happen with him?
No. That's kind of why she's more freaking out.
They then went back to John's to see if he was actually home, and Karen just couldn't see him. They can be seen arriving on John's camera, but they have no luck finding him inside the house. So Karen then suggested that they go back and check the party house at 34 Fairview. Apparently, as they walked toward the car, Karen wondered if she accidentally hit John earlier that night.
She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. I think you probably hit something, but let's just go in the house and look for him.
As they pull up to the house at 6:03 a.m., Karen begins screaming at her friends to stop the car. Despite the low visibility from the snowstorm, she says that she thinks she can see John. Lo and behold, John was found lying face down in the snow. 2 days after his body was found, on February 1st, Karen was arrested. She was charged with vehicular homicide, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a motor vehicle collision causing death.
Karen Reed left the courthouse after posting bail, charged with hitting her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV early Saturday morning.
At her arraignment, Karen pled not guilty. She posted bail and was released, but her bail conditions included a stay-away order from John's family. So on February 6th, 2022, Karen couldn't attend John's funeral.
His brothers and sisters in blue stood on the steps as Officer John O'Keefe's blue casket was carried out of the church.
Why would you let her anywhere near that, bro?
He made time for everyone. He really just honestly had the biggest heart, honestly, in taking in the kids.
O'Keefe took on the role of raising his niece and nephew after their parents died several years ago. It was a role O'Keefe's family says changed his life.
It goes to show the person that he is. He has a huge heart. Like my family said, he would give you the shirt off his back. Just really amazing guy.
Hundreds gathered to pay their respects and mourn John's death. Even a part of the highway was shut down for the day. Over the following months, the detectives continued building their case against Karen. As the snow melted, they went back to the crime scene multiple times, discovering 46 more pieces of plastic from Karen's taillight. With this new evidence in hand, the prosecution went to a grand jury, hoping to upgrade her manslaughter charge to second-degree murder, claiming that Karen, in a fit of rage, maliciously and deliberately killed John. This was approved, and on June 9th, 2022, Karen was indicted. Sergeant Buchanan and Trooper Proctor led a team to Karen's Mansfield residence to execute the arrest warrant.
You would have said if the headlight was broken, it would have made sense. The taillight?
And leaving the scene causing death and no bodily injury. Subsequently, there's been an arrest warrant issued for you.
I need medication and some personal bathroom items.
Okay, what type of medication and where you can get it for?
Can I have normal shoes, please, so I'm not on TV looking like this?
Yes.
These I don't even have underwear. Can I put pants on?
And what? Your parents can come over here and retrieve anything.
But I don't want to be on Channel 4 in my pajamas.
I wouldn't worry about the news right now.
I'm actually tough pajamas. I'm not gonna lie.
She's more concerned when she looks like on TV.
Right.
Me all right now?
No.
Ah.
Have a seat there for me.
I mean, she might well showcase it if you're about. You know what I'm saying?
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Get down here. Did you press right? You press left.
Limping out.
Search you, okay? Yeah, can you pull the pockets out so I don't have to... Nothing in the pockets? Nothing in the waistband, anything? Okay, no pockets in the shirt? Alright, man, you can take this, okay?
Karen's full list of updated charges include second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, and driving under the influence. Her bail was set at $100,000, and within 24 hours, that amount was paid. She was promptly released and immediately started to prepare with her attorneys for her upcoming trial. However, before her trial kicked off, people all over the world would learn the details of her case, leading to thousands of supporters protesting for the state to drop the charges against her.
This pro-Karen Reed rally in Dedham was one of the largest, with dozens of demonstrators lining the street, waving signs, and proclaiming Reed's innocence.
We still want to support her right through, you know? We're not going to stop. We're not going to quit.
Many of the protesters have contributed to Reed's legal fund. Can you give us an idea of how much you've contributed?
Oh, a few hundred, we'll say, at least, yeah.
And are you willing to contribute more?
Of course, as long as it takes, you know?
Throughout her court proceedings, supporters lined the sidewalks leading to the courthouse, holding signs and chanting,
"Free Karen Reed!"
And every time she and her defense team showed up, they would cheer her on.
Supporters of Karen Reed were cheering as she and her defense team arrived for day one of the trial, jury selection.
However, while Karen and her defense team walked the red carpet, the prosecution and their witnesses endured the walk of shame.
Resign, all of you! Resign! Shame on you! Disgrace to the back!
You're probably wondering what caused such an intense public reaction in Karen's case. Well, all of the details we have shared about the investigation thus far are part of the narrative laid out by the prosecution during Karen's murder trial. But in the defense's opening statement, they have a completely different narrative.
Karen Reed was framed.
Oh my God. I don't want to assume that this nigga's on cocaine. But with that statement, brother, I have no other conclusion to reach. What the f is he talking about?
Car never struck John O'Keefe.
Brother,
she did not cause his death. And that means that somebody else did.
We are now going to take you through the series of events that resulted in Karen's arrest once more. But this time, we will follow the narrative laid out by the defense. On January 28th, after the two squashed their beef, Karen arrived at C.F. McCarthy's and lovingly embraced John. After C.F. McCarthy's, they went to the Waterfall Bar and Grill to meet with the rest of the group, but it seemed that Brian Higgins was offended by the lack of attention from Karen. He texted her, well? Brian was standoffish for the rest of the night, but when it came time for the after party, he encouraged John to come with. After the bars, Karen and John arrived outside the after party at 12:24 a.m. Karen wasn't too excited for this after party, so John went inside alone to scope out the vibe. This is corroborated by John's phone data, which says that he took 80 steps and then climbed 3 flights of stairs at that time. Expecting John to give her some sort of update, Karen waited outside for 6 minutes before getting annoyed and leaving without him at 12:30 a.m. This is based on the fact that the drive back to John's house is 6 minutes and Karen's phone connects to John's home Wi-Fi at 12:36 a.m. But John's phone data shows 36 more steps at 12:32 a.m. after Karen had already left. Therefore, she could not have killed him. The defense believed that when John entered the house, he was led into the basement, where he got into a fight with Karen's jealous love affair, Brian Higgins. That left him fatally injured. They also questioned the involvement of the homeowner, Brian Albert, and his family. After all, Brian Albert is known to be an avid boxer, even starring on the show Boston's Finest in 2013. Additionally, less than a month after John's death, Brian Albert's nephew Colin was photographed with injuries on his knuckles. They also believed that during this fight, John was attacked by Brian Albert's German shepherd, Chloe. Looking at the wounds on John's arms, the defense said that they didn't align with being struck by a car, but rather showed that he was attacked by an animal.
Those injuries appear to be consistent with an animal attack. There are several patterns of parallel wounds that could have been caused by nails or could have been caused by teeth.
The prosecution had an expert of their own to refute the dog attack theory. Dr. Terry Kuhn said that there was no dog DNA found on John's arm.
We did not see any canine DNA.
You were able to detect the presence of pig DNA, right?
Correct.
And I think you said on direct examination that that could come from a number of sources, including food sources, right?
Correct.
Could come from dog treats.
Pardon me? Yes.
Could come from dog treats. Dog treats that are pig ears, literally.
I believe so.
The defense suggested that this pig DNA could have just as easily come from remnants of dog treats transferred from Chloe's mouth to John's arm as she was biting him. Also, around the same time that the autopsy photos were released to the defense team, Brian Albert's family suddenly got rid of their dog.
So Chloe was rehomed in, I believe, May.
2022.
Of 2022. She was involved in a dog fight with another dog out front.
According to the prosecution, this whole theory was baseless because not a single person at the party saw John enter the house.
John never came into my house that night?
No, they never came into my home.
At any point in time, did John O'Keefe ever come inside the house?
No.
The defense believed that several people inside the house were lying to cover up what really happened to John, and one of those people was Jennifer McCabe. Following John's alleged attack, there were several unanswered calls from Jen to John between 12:41 and 12:50 a.m. The defense suggested that these phone calls weren't butt dials, but were actually Jen's attempt at locating John's phone after he was attacked. But wait, there's more. Despite Brian Albert and Brian Higgins telling investigators that they didn't speak to anybody after the party, there were 2 answered phone calls from that night that suggested otherwise. At 2:22 a.m., Brian Albert called Brian Higgins. The call was answered, but it was disconnected after just 1 second. Right after, Higgins called Albert back. This call was answered as well and lasted 22 seconds.
Sir, did you make any phone calls after you went to bed between the hours of 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m.?
I inadvertently called Brian Higgins.
How did you inadvertently call him?
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
But if that were the case, they would have had to but answer the calls and but hang up as well. The defense found it more likely that the 2 Bryans had talked about something during that 22-second phone call that neither of them wanted to admit.
Did you, in fact, tell the truth at the prior proceeding when you said, I don't remember that phone call?
I always tell the truth.
Did you lie under oath, sir?
No, I did not.
Would you tell us if you did?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
If that isn't suspicious enough, both of the Bryans conveniently traded in their phones the day before being given court orders not to do that.
The phone wasn't destroyed. I upgraded the phone.
The data was destroyed, sir. Correct?
I did not destroy any data on any phone.
Mr. Albert, you know that data is destroyed when you upgrade your phone, right? The phone data is destroyed for all purposes. It's factory reset, correct?
I don't know that.
How do you have phone?
Perhaps Brian Albert received a tip from someone investigating John's death, and they got rid of their data because there was something on there that would incriminate them. After all, Brian Albert's brother, Kevin, works as a detective at the Canton Police Department. This might also explain why Brian Albert's family members were never even questioned, even though there was a dead body found on their lawn.
You had an...
Hey. The defense might be cooking with this one. But here you go. I'm just saying, though, if I'm looking at it objectively, the defense might have been cooking. What we gonna see?
Officer, a Boston police officer, who was either dead or dying on the front lawn of a house with a bunch of occupants, and you didn't think that it was necessary to investigate or interview those occupants yourself?
I did not.
Did you look around the house for any sign of a struggle or a fight?
No.
Did you go to the basement at all?
The Alberts also have a long-standing relationship with the lead detective in the case, Trooper Proctor, but we'll dive more into Proctor's involvement later. At 2:27 a.m., 5 minutes after Brian's butt dials, Jen made a damning Google search. How's long to die in cold? According to the defense, Jen deleted the search at some point, but they hired a digital forensics expert who was able to find its digital footprint. Jen completely denies ever making this search or deleting any searches.
Did you delete that search because you knew that you would be implicated in John O'Keefe's death if that search was found on your phone?
Objection.
Could you answer that, please?
I did not delete that search. I never made that search at 2:23. I never would have left John O'Keefe out in the cold to die because he was my friend that I loved.
The prosecution brought on their own experts to explain why this 2:27 a.m. timestamp proves nothing.
If I create a 12 o'clock tab, minimize Safari. I can leave it for several hours, for several days, for several weeks. When I come back to it and open up Safari again from a background state, the timestamp is not updated. So it will still show 12 p.m. today, and it will show whatever my most recent navigational event is. So I can search for something in 3 weeks' time using the same tab I opened today, and the timestamp will show today's time.
However, according to the defense, the prosecution's experts came to this conclusion by using a different version of iOS than the one that Jen was using at the time of the search. One key point the prosecution made that the defense's expert did agree with was that right before searching How's long to die in cold, Jen was searching for private basketball teams for her daughter. A strange thing to be searching in the middle of covering up a murder. Where was Karen during all of these butt calls and Google searches? It turns out that after dropping John off at the house around 12:30, she called him over and over.
Now, Trooper Guarino, you conducted an analysis of both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone, correct?
That's correct.
And from your analysis of that phone, were you able to determine approximately how many calls occurred from the defendant's phone to Mr. O'Keefe's phone from the time period shortly after 12:30 a.m. To the time period shortly after 6 a.m.?
There was over 50. I think it was 53 or 55.
The prosecution found it suspicious that not one of these phone calls was to 911, but the defense argued that at this point in the night, it never crossed Karen's mind that something had happened to John. The several voicemails Karen left throughout the night suggest that she thought John was off cheating on her with another woman.
John, I hate you! John, I'm here with your kids, and nobody knows what the f*** you are, you pervert. John, you are using me right now.
Whoa, what you mean a pervert though, shorty? Like, why? Just because he's a philanderer doesn't mean he's a pervert, my nigga. That motherfucker be working. That's all that is. That's why all these Sparks commercials, all that, you got a Bluetooth. Your shit don't work, gang. No disrespect. I don't eat these like common. Your shit don't work, gang.
Now you're another girl. You're a loser. Yourself. Yeah, it's 1 a.m. I'm with your niece and nephew. You pervert. You're a pervert.
She then woke up at around 4 a.m. But there was still no sign of John. At this point, she was more concerned than angry. She called John and left more voicemails. Just as Jen had stated, Karen called her at 4:53 a.m. to tell her that John was missing. You might recall that after John's body was discovered and first responders arrived at the scene, everybody claimed that Karen said
3 times, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
But in cross-examination, none of these witnesses could point out when in the dashcam footage Karen made these hysterical statements.
Did you see any place in that video where you had any sort of detailed conversation with my client?
No.
Did you see any place in that video where you engaged my client and said, how'd you get here? What happened? And she said, I hit him. And you said, how'd you hit him? All the stuff that you testified earlier to.
I didn't see that in the video, no.
Not only that, but not a single person wrote down that Karen said, I hit him, in any of their reports. The defense also questioned the crash reconstructionist for the Massachusetts State Police, Trooper Joe Paul. Using the movement data from Karen's SUV, Joe was able to create a play-by-play of how he believed John was struck. After John exited the vehicle, Karen began driving away. She then abruptly stopped the car for 2.5 seconds before speeding at him in reverse, clipping his arm and sideswiping him. His head slammed into the frozen ground as his body traveled onto the lawn. On the stand, however, Joe did not seem very confident in his findings.
What you mean?
Throughout my investigation, this appeared to be a single car collision involving a pedestrian. The vehicle was traveling at a higher acceleration when.
And where's your puss? Lord have mercy. I mean, a lot of people have problem with public speaking, so I can understand you having jitters and anxiety, but brother, the one thing that you should have absolute confidence in is your abilities to reconstruct that crime scene, brother. Very simple. I'm not about to be nervous and stumbling over because these are the facts that I am presenting. I'm not presenting you an alternate version of the truth. I'm not presenting you another story. I'm presenting you the facts. There's no need to stumble or stutter, none of that. Realistically.
Sorry.
But let's give him some slack.
The vehicle accelerated at a high rate of speed before she struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe on the roadway and subsequently left him at the scene.
The defense tried to discredit him completely by bringing his education into question.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
The rate of velocity, what's another word for that?
The rate of velocity?
Right.
I mean, it deals with motion. It deals with forward, and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration, correct?
I was about to say, why the fuck did he not? I ain't want to be that guy. I'm like, why the hell did he not say acceleration? But I guess, my guy. I guess.
What role does acceleration play in the field of kinematics?
What role does acceleration play in kinematics?
Hey, mischild this bitch. I'm sorry. Hey, man, this is what I'm saying, though. Like, it's too muddy. It's too muddy. The waters are muddy. Like, I prefer a case where it's clear. We got them. Not conjecture, hyperbole, assumptions. Like, nigga, this nigga don't even know what a hypothesis is. I'm convinced at this point. What is he talking about? I'm just saying. Well, this nigga trying to explain what rate of velocity is instead of just saying the synonym for the acceleration. And then this, oh god, he's cooked, brother. I don't know what to tell you, but you don't know what you're doing. Like at this point, you can just hire me, cause I'm gonna put some shit together, and I'm gonna know what I'm talking about. Even though, like him, I'll be capping, cause I know he's capping at this point. What is he talking about? At least have confidence in the lie, brother. What perjury gonna do?
Talks about, like you just said, talks about the speed and talks about motion.
They also questioned why he believed John was struck by the SUV, even though none of his data conclusively pointed to that.
I can't say that's definitively where a pedestrian was struck, but
I'm sorry.
it wasn't definitively. Sorry, in my report, I do say I can't say that is definitively where the pedestrian.
Definitively, or I don't know if that was definitely where, but either or, but he's cooked. In 10 universes, he's cooked.
The more Joe talked, the more far-fetched the prosecution's theory seemed.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough for the taillight to explode, basically, to shatter. Then these striations get on his arm. Abrasions. Does a pirouette, spin, counterclockwise, and flies 30 feet in the air to his bloody breast.
Yeah, I have to probably go faster than that, though.
That defense attorney is frying his.
I thought you said he hit his head on the curb.
I said that's one of the possibilities of
the man
look at the roadway as he gets spun around kind of clockwise. It's a possibility that the curb is there. Any blunt force object on the ground has the ground is very blunt.
And through all of this, John never let go of his cocktail glass. The defense brought in their own experts, Andrew Rentschler and Daniel Wolf, who have PhDs in computer and bioengineering. They work for a company called ARCCA, or ARCA, who specialize in crash reconstruction.
By its very nature, sideswipe has minimal forces. We see it even between vehicles that just rub against each other. So if there's a sideswipe impact with a pedestrian and a vehicle, there's going to be very little damage to the pedestrian. And similarly, there's going to be very little movement. There's really no force at all acting. You know, for instance, if a car came and swiped by your arm, but didn't have enough force or enough contact to cause any damage, well, it wouldn't actually cause any movement of the person either. So
that makes sense. Motion, but inertia, things of that nature.
By its very nature, involves minimal impact, minimal forces, minimal velocities.
So was the taillight damage consistent or inconsistent with striking an arm?
Inconsistent.
It was, our findings was it's inconsistent for a number of reasons, but it's inconsistent with striking the arm, yes, sir. Okay. He could have slipped and struck his head. The car could have backed up and not known that he was there and nudged him and caused him to fall. I mean, any event that would cause him to fall backwards obviously would result in him striking his head. So there's numerous, almost infinite possibility of different scenarios that could result in that type of an event.
But if Karen didn't hit him, then how does the defense explain the broken taillight? At 5:07 a.m., a surveillance camera at John's house shows Karen leaving in her SUV to go search for him with Jen. The defense argued that Karen's SUV backed into John's vehicle, breaking the taillight. However, the prosecution simply disagreed, citing that there were no taillight pieces found in the driveway. They seemed to believe that the SUV came extremely close to the other vehicle, but didn't actually hit it. But there were also no taillight pieces found at the crime scene when evidence was initially being collected.
At any point in time, either before or after the leaf blower was taken out by
somebody planted
Lieutenant Gallagher, did you see
sound like a friend to
pieces of bright red, black, and clear plastic pieces scattered all over the scene?
I did not.
Did you find or see even one piece of broken plastic?
I did not.
And yes, you heard that right. He said leaf blower. Before the Massachusetts State Police had shown up, Canton police officers used a leaf blower to clear the snow at the crime scene. They also used Stop and Shop bags instead of evidence bags, and red Solo cups to collect the blood.
I'm done. Hey, if you live in the Massachusetts area, please get out of the Massachusetts area. This is the worst I've ever in my life. And, brother, y'all are collecting evidence in shopping bags? You niggas that broke? Did y'all get defunded? What the f is going on? They collected the blood in Solo cups. What in the party goer USA? What the Like, bro, this nigga went to Party City. What the fuck is he talking about, bro? Somebody explain to me what the hell is going on here. What? What the hell, Burton?
It does not look like an evidence bag, does it, sir?
No.
Matter of fact, it looks like a grocery bag.
Correct.
What is that?
Those are the plastic cups with the coagulated blood.
Y'all are clowns.
It goes without saying that this is not how evidence in a homicide case should be handled. But anyways, it wasn't until January 29th at 5:46 p.m., 46 minutes into the second search of the lawn, that the pieces of taillight were found. The defense suggested that someone had planted the taillight pieces at the crime scene at some point between the first search at 7:30
This one's a fat
and the
ass
second
shot
search
like
at 5:46 p.m. To shut this theory down, the prosecution showed surveillance footage of Karen's SUV pulling into the Canton Police Department, where it was taken after being seized. In the video, you can see lead detectives Buchanan and Proctor hovering around the vehicle, inspecting it closely. But it appears that the broken passenger side taillight is never meddled with.
Sergeant Buchanan and I never touched any part of that vehicle.
During cross-examination, however, the defense highlighted a part of the video where Proctor's hat can be seen peeking over the vehicle as he stands at the driver's side taillight for an extended period of time.
What if he
Except
lied?
he isn't actually on the driver's side door.
Brother, the nigga lied. And the reason why the nigga lied is because we can clearly see him on camera touching the vehicle. Why in the hell would you say on stand, me and blah, 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 never touched the vehicle? This nigga just touched the door. Damn it.
While watching this video, the defense noticed that the word police on the trunk of this cruiser was mirrored. Someone had inverted this footage before it was submitted as evidence.
How did you discover that the image was inverted?
I saw the word police and thought I had dyslexia.
The side of the car facing the camera is actually the driver's side, and Trooper Proctor is on the passenger side.
Bro, what is the title then, brother? I got misled. I'm confused. I'm not confused no more. Matter of fact, I have complete understanding. It's only 9 minutes left, so I'm gonna let them finish. But I'm on that.
Where Karen's broken taillight is. The defense believed that the prosecution intentionally showed this inverted video to the jury to make it seem as if no one had meddled with the broken taillight. When in reality, while Proctor was standing there, he was discreetly collecting the taillight fragments that would ultimately wind up all over the crime scene. The defense also found it strange that a single strand of John's hair had stayed glued to the SUV after many miles of traveling through a snowstorm.
Yeah, that makes
the prosecution suggested.
I was gonna say that at first too, but I'm thinking, okay, evidence. I don't know. Like, nigga drove through a snowstorm. How the hell is one single piece of hair? If you would have said multiple, 20, 30.
That it could have been frozen to the car, considering the weather conditions. But perhaps Proctor had tampered with this evidence as well. Planting evidence wasn't the only thing Proctor came under fire for during the trial. Throughout the investigation, Proctor discussed details of the case in a group chat with his high school friends.
What?
In this text exchange at 10:56 p.m., your buddy Bird writes, "I'm sure the owners of the house will receive some shit." Correct?
Correct.
How did you take that to mean? Did you take that to mean like he's not going to get in any trouble? He's not going to be a suspect, correct?
Correct.
And he's not going to be implicated in any way. Is that right?
Correct.
And your answer was one word, correct?
Yes.
What was that word?
No.
Next text. He's a Boston cop too.
Even more shocking were the vulgar comments he made about Karen.
Funny, I'm going through his client's phone. No nude so far. I hate that man. I truly am. She's a whack job. CUNT.
Objection.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
These messages were so bad.
Brother, he just skipped the word. But get him out of here. Also, he freaky. Hey, Pervy man. Pervy says. Jiraiya. Bald Jiraiya. What the hell are you doing? Hey man, some niggas just stay the same high school. Same high school type. Like, I get it, bro. You talking with your friends. Why are you talking about the case? Also, we just gonna objectify women like this?
That in March of 2025, the state police trial board found Proctor guilty of 3 charges of unsatisfactory performance, and he was subsequently fired. The defense believed that the messages clearly indicated that Michael Proctor was immoral, unethical, and biased when it came to the investigation of John O'Keefe's death. This, along with his close ties to Brian Elbert, made him the perfect candidate to save his buddy's skin by framing Karen Reed. After a 9-week trial, with 70 witnesses and more than 600 pieces of evidence presented, it was time for closing arguments. During the defense's closing argument, they took the jury through a tutorial on how to cover up a murder.
So how does a cover-up happen? How could that happen? Well, let's count the ways, shall we? Delete your call history. Make mysterious phone calls at 2:22 a.m. Delete Google searches. Monitor police activity. Get rid of evidence. Get rid of your dog. For the investigator, decide on a narrative early on. Don't go to the crime scene. Don't take witnesses in for questioning. Question all the witnesses together. Ignore witnesses who don't fit your narrative. Allow friends and family to contact those same witnesses. Don't record interviews. Write vague and false police reports. Omit witnesses' names. Omit witnesses' interviews altogether. Don't photograph the evidence. Don't conduct any forensics. Don't document the evidence. Invert videos. Turn 3 pieces of taillight into 5 pieces of taillight.
Damn.
Delete 42 minutes of surveillance footage. Hide personal relationships.
But
Make
this
this
is 23
case cut and dry, and ensure the homeowner, quote, never sees any shit because he's a Boston cop. But most importantly, pick your patsy.
It's either 25 or 26 steps to cover up a murder. And if police are doing this, not if, because these niggas did it. At this point, it feels like they did it. Like, now maybe this is just the greatest orator of words I've ever seen in my life. I don't know. Maybe he just know how to finesse the pack. Brother, man, he been cooking for the past 20 minutes. How are you doing this? Like, brother, I fully went into... Nah, she crazy. It's crazy. It might not be that crazy.
Pin it on the girl.
It's not that it
could happen. It's that every single one of those things I just mentioned did happen. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen Reed is innocent. Do justice and find her not guilty. Thank you.
The defense's closing argument was a powerful call to action, which implied that a vote for guilty would only reinforce the corrupt establishments within Massachusetts state law enforcement. In the prosecution's closing argument, they reminded the jury that several witnesses testified that Karen had admitted to hitting John herself.
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Those are the words of the defendant. 4 times. You heard testimony from 4 different witnesses who overheard and observed those statements from the defendant
Video
on
proof
January
is so much
29,
better, though.
2022. The text from Trooper Proctor are distasteful, they're disrespectful, they're unprofessional. There's no defense to them. And the defendant killed John O'Keefe. As distasteful as those messages.
Stop. Why the fuck he throw that shit in like it was a goddamn side note, nigga? Like it was like a, you know what I'm saying? Oh, and also, she killed him. Brother, what the nigga? You literally had to throw that in there to make people just forget the fact that you just addressed that this nigga who was on the case, working the case, is corrupt. Brother, man, talking about it's distasteful. Blah, 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 blah. What are we doing here? And why are you here doing it?
Fuck. Just off. And their content is. I submit they had no bearing whatsoever.
But he thought he had a slam dunk and got fraud.
On the integrity of the entirety of the investigation that the Massachusetts State Police collectively conducted into John O'Keefe's death here.
This was about as passionate as it got. For the most part, prosecutor Adam Lally just listed all of the evidence. And at the end of his statement,
He's but. I'm sorry. Any attorney that doesn't pull on the human element, and you got to do it correctly. But kind of butts. We're dealing with humans here. If you don't know how to do that, then you don't know how to pull on the heartstrings. You don't need to be here.
Actually ran out of time, and his final sentence was rushed out with a dry and stale tone.
What the constellations of facts and the evidence ineluctably demonstrate here is that the defendant drove her vehicle in reverse for 24.2 miles per hour for 62.5 feet, struck Mr. O'Keefe, causing those catastrophic head injuries, leaving him incapacitated and freezing his death.
Mr. Lally, I have to stop you.
Thank you, God.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I really have one sentence.
One sentence I'll give you.
From that facts and that evidence, I would submit ineluctably demonstrates her guilt on each of the indictments before you, and I would ask that you find yourself. Thank you.
Brother, that's not one sentence. This nigga just said a third of a paragraph talking about that's one sentence. Shut the fuck up.
As the jury deliberated, they could hear the chants of Karen's supporters. On day 4 of deliberations, the judge received a note from the jury.
Dear Judge Cannoni, I am writing to inform you on behalf of the jury that despite our exhaustive review of the evidence and our diligent consideration of all disputed evidence, we have been unable to reach a unanimous verdict. Signed by the foreperson. This is our 4th day of deliberations. I'm not prepared to find that there have been due and thorough deliberations at this point.
Following judge's orders, the jury continued to weigh their decision, and on day 5, they sent another note to the judge.
Our perspectives on the evidence are starkly divided. Some members of the jury firmly believe that the evidence surpasses the burden of proof, establishing the elements of the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Conversely, others find the evidence fails to meet this standard and does not sufficiently establish the necessary elements of the charges. The deep division is not due to a lack of effort or diligence, but rather a sincere adherence to our individual principles and moral convictions.
Facts.
To continue to deliberate would be futile and only serve to force us to compromise these deeply held beliefs.
That jury is
I'm not going to
home.
do that to you folks. Your service is complete. I'm declaring a mistrial in this case.
With a mistrial declared, the case of Karen Reed is not over. Directly following this trial, the district's attorney's office released a statement saying they would be retrying Karen Reed. Outside the courthouse, her defense team told the media that they weren't backing down either.
Folks, this is...
Look at the victory lap. He said, yeah, I'm on that. Yeah. Where you can see it in his aura, bro. Like, bro, look at his face when he popped out that courtroom. Like,
saying they would be
really one of
Karen Reed.
those.
Outside the courthouse, her defense team told the media that they weren't backing down either.
Folks, this is what it looks like when you bring false charges against an innocent person. The Commonwealth did their worst. And guess what? They failed. They failed miserably, and they'll continue to fail. No matter how long it takes, no matter how long they keep trying, we will not stop fighting. We have no quit.
At the time of this video's release, April 24th, 2025, Karen Reed's second trial has already commenced.
Oh, begun. I'm about to say commenced. Concluded? Damn, this was wild. No, actually wild. Roller coaster ride for sure, because nigga, I'm here. I'm like, nah, nigga, Karen on that. Then I'm like, Karen not really on that. It sound good, but Brian seems suspicious. 12 corrupt. Doctor video. Like, brother, even if she did do it, there's no way y'all are gonna prove it, because 12 didn't do their job. Very simple. All you have to do is conduct the investigation correctly. Y'all niggas not trying to find the truth. Y'all just trying to get your friends off. Pause if needed. I don't know what to tell y'all. Realistically, in the comment section, I mean, tell me if you believe it's free Karen Reed. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. I don't know. But nigga, it's looking like free Karen. It's looking like free Karen. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell y'all. Free Karen until it's backwards. Karen free, my guy. I don't know what to tell y'all. Because it don't look like she did it. Like, brother, convenience and coincidence, brother, that ain't gonna get a murder charge done, brother. I don't know what to tell you. For the judge, I understand that she was trying to like let's try to get this deliberation. Like, we don't need to do this again, waste more taxpayers' money. But my nigga, if they can't make a decision right now, you tell them to deliberate a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, and we just found out that Massachusetts been over. I can't do nothing with that. As a juror, I could not do nothing with that, brother. I cannot vote that she's guilty when you're telling me they did this, and this. And if you can't, hey, I won't judge you, brother. That's on you. That's how you live. That's the end of the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date when I drop videos on this channel. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, y'all. Stay safe, y'all.
Baby, slide by to my mausoleum. She got